Hello, wrestling fans. Blake Smith from Walking the Ropes, and welcome to another episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review for AEW Dynamite from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. To open the show, we had CM Punk taking on Dustin Rhodes. Dustin called out Punk in what he calls a dream match of his, and I, for one, have been looking forward to it ever since they mentioned it. Dustin is an amazing performer, and so too is Punk. They both know how to tear down the house whenever they get the chance to. They shake hands and start the feeling out process, and they continue to go back and forth at the start, and Punk eventually ducks a dive, or ducks like a crossbody, and Dustin is sent crashing and burning to the outside. Punk starts to target Dustin's injured knee and picking him apart. Dustin, though, is a vet and has at the nearest chance, he comes back with a big code red and a scoop slam. Dustin goes for the crossroads, but Punk escapes and locks in the figure four, and they have the crowd on the edge of their seats with the "This is awesome" chants raining through the crowd. Dustin hits the crossroads, followed by a pile driver, but Punk just won't quit, and he tries to hit the GTS, but can't, and Dustin tries the small package, but Punk sits out and gets the pin. They share respect in the ring and hug. As Punk goes to leave, Hangman meets him on the stage, and they stand off at the top of the stage. For my WTR scale, I gave this a great. We are clearly setting up for the next title match to be CM Punk versus Hangman Adam Page, and I cannot wait. We then get Wardlow shown walking into the arena earlier today, as Smart Mark Sterling tells him he will be accompanied by security at all times, and he's only able to go from the dressing room to the ring, and then he has to leave the building. He then must also be handcuffed the entire time until he's in the ring, I assume. For my WTR scale, I gave this a good. It's just further proving MJF's weaselness. We then get the Blackpool Combat Club. They look to continue their dominance against Dante Martin, Lee Moriarty, and Brock Anderson. They show the locker room that they are the toughest men here, basically, and they want to continue doing so. Dante, after taking a good beating, impresses them as he stuns Bryan and then Moxley, and then quickly the Blackpool Combat Club is able to turn it around as Brock gets in the ring. I wonder if AEW is slowly starting to hint that Dante Martin and hopefully his brother will join the Blackpool Combat Club at some point. The reason I say that is because that is very similar to how Wheeler Yuta was introduced to them as well. Moxley and Bryan take control of the match once again, but Moriarty, Brock, and Dante are showing themselves to be very tough as well. Dante goes to the top rope, but Moxley catches him in the Bulldog, and even Lee can't kick him off. The Blackpool Combat Club then clears the ring, and Moxley hits the Paradigm Shift for the win. For my WTR scale, I gave this a great. That was a fantastic showing from all parties. We then get the Elite talking backstage, and the Bucks are not themselves anymore. They are down on themselves, and they try to, I guess they're bucking them up, I guess you could say. Cole and Bobby and Kyle are. They tell the Bucks that their friends are gone, but now they are here, so it's okay. Next week, they will have an open challenge for a 10-man tag team match. For my WTR scale, I gave this a good. We then get a recap of what has been happening between Joe and Lethal and Sanjay Dutt. Joe says he doesn't care, he's ready for everything, and he is inevitable. While Lethal is very confident in Satnam Singh. I'm looking forward to this. This is looking to be a very prominent story coming up. For my WTR scale, I gave this a good. We then get Tony Khan making his announcement. He immediately welcomes the president of New Japan Pro Wrestling, and before they can really say anything, Adam Cole appears on the screen, and he reveals AEW and New Japan will be hosting an event called The Forbidden Door on June 26th at the United Center in Chicago, Illinois. And on Rampage, we will get a taste of that as Adam Cole takes on Tamahiro Ishii, and I am so excited for that match. Adam Cole then welcomes a special friend to the arena, and that is King Switchblade Jay White. He makes his way out and says that it is very fitting that he is here for this announcement because last time an event like this happened, he sold out MSG. Says it is not about NJPW or AEW. It is about the Undisputed Elite and the Bullet Club, because it is still their era, and he throws up the too sweet. For my WTR skill, I gave this a great. That was obviously the expected announcement, but it worked very well. Jade Cargill then talks with Red Velvet and I believe it's Kiera Hogan. She talks to them about being the hottest of them all, of the baddies and whatever, and Jade says she's not worried about Marina Shafir. Kiera says that's because she's the problem solver. For my WTR skill, I gave this a meh. I'm not really a fan of this. We then get Wardlow versus The Butcher, and before this match can even start, MJF yells at everyone in the arena from a skybox and lets everyone know that Wardlow will not be coming out to any music tonight because he is a pig. Wardlow then walks out and is still handcuffed and surrounded by security. He's uncuffed when he gets in the ring, and then he and The Butcher start exchanging hard and heavy shots, seeing what the other is made of. The Butcher then gets frustrated and gets some chair shots gets some chairs in, and this drags Wardlow to the outside, which seems like it was the Butcher's plan as he starts to wear down Wardlow. They go back in the ring, and Wardlow explodes, hitting 4 massive power bombs and gets the win. After the match, Wardlow is instantly handcuffed and escorted out once again, but he looks very smug while this is happening. For my WTR scale, I gave this a good. I'm very much enjoying this. I don't know that we need to handcuff him all the time. It just feels like he's a criminal now. I mean, MJF is a weasel. But next we have Eddie Kingston talking about Daniel Garcia and says nobody is allowed to be in the building, so it will be just one-on-one. And then tells Jericho that whatever he does to Garcia will be done to Jericho worse. He doesn't care anymore. My WTR skill, I gave this a good. We then get a Owen Hart Foundation men's qualifier, Kyle O'Reilly versus Jungle Boy. They look to join Samoa Joe as members of this tournament, and we are slowly starting to fill out the field with a wide range of styles. These two start to fight quickly, moving on from move to move. Both men try different holds to wear the other down, and O'Reilly decides to start tossing Jungle Boy around. Kyle takes control as he overpowers Jungle Boy, but Jungle Boy fights back and starts to take down Kyle and eventually dumps him to the outside. From there, Jungle Boy keeps the pressure on Kyle and then locks in a sleeper, but Kyle fights back and locks one of his own and then tosses Jungle Boy again. Jungle Boy, though, fires back and then goes to the drop Kyle, and they grapple until Kyle locks in an ankle lock, which Jungle Boy reverses. He then locks in the snare trap, which Kyle gets to the ropes, which I don't know how often that happens with the snare trap. Kyle then hits a series of suplexes, followed by a flying knee from the top rope for the win. After the match, Christian Cage comes to Jungle Boy's side to walk him back to the backstage area. It was a very nice moment. For the WTR scale, I gave this a great. Kyle O'Reilly joining Samoa Joe and whoever else is going to be in this field is going to be an insane tournament. MJF is pissed, and he says he has plenty of money for him to buy other people to fight Wardlow. He says that a snake sometimes is all it takes is one bite, and then he hands some money to Jake the Snake Roberts. He starts to talk about how money is the key to basically the world, and Lance Archer appears and says he doesn't care about money, he just wants to end Wardlow. For my WTR scale, I gave this a good. We then get Hook's AEW Dynamite debut, which his previous matches have been on Rampage, and I believe he had a match on Revolution. Hook wastes no time working over his opponent as he just tosses him around the ring while Mark Sterling and Tony Nese watch from the stands. Just when Hook looks like he has it finished, Danhausen appears and tries to curse Hook once again. He fails, and Hook locks in a sleeper for the win. Danhausen is pissed, and he says if he doesn't want to be cursed by Danhausen, then he will have to fight Danhausen. Hook says nothing and just brushes past him and leaves. For my WTR scale, I gave this a good. Frankie Kazarian goes to challenge Sami, but Scorpio Sky interrupts him and apologizes and talks about his history and asks for one more favor. And it's for Frankie to hold off his challenge until Sky can get back the title. He'll then give him the first shot. Frankie says he's got his back and agrees. For my WTR scale, I gave that a good. I love that we didn't break up SCU, so Frankie doing this, there was no ill will here. It was very good. Rosa talks about stepping over Nyla not being a stepping stone and says she will continue to prove she is one of the best in the world. And now it is time to go double or nothing. I wonder what she's hitting at. WTR scale, I gave that a good. We then get Sami Guevara and Ty Conte in the ring. Sami says he is so happy to be on top of the world with his girl. Says he is so grateful for his supporters and the haters. They have one thing to do, and it's to be bad. This guy comes out and says that to screw everyone, right? Who got you there? Well, it's not screw us, Sami. It's screw you. Sami tries to say something, but Paige tells him to shut up and will not. Says he's not going to come down there and fight him only because Dan Lambert wants to conduct business. Lambert then says Sami is a hypocrite, and he gives him one choice, and it's to have the title match for Sky, or Paige and Sky will come and beat his ass. Sami says as long as they get the mixed tag match, it's on. They agree, and he says it'll be a ladder match next week for the TNT title. For my WTR scale, I gave that a grade. I am looking forward to Scorpio Sky versus Sami Guevara in a ladder match. We then get the House of Black talking about, it says it's time to change the narrative, basically, and claim their own debt. They said something about next week the sun dies. For my WTR scale, I gave this a good. We then get Brit Baker making her return for the first time since losing her title in a Owen Hart Foundation women's qualifier match against Danielle Kamela. She is welcomed with the Heroes Welcome, and she's even accompanied by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kamela may have drawn the worst luck of all with the qualifiers taking on the DMD in her hometown. Britt looks like she is back to form and ready to start working her way back to the title picture. Kamela, though, seems to catch Britt off guard. Maybe Britt has a little rust to shake off as Danielle starts to overpower her, wearing her down with hard shots. Britt finally comes back with a hard net breaker and the stomp. She then gets the glove and locks in Lockjaw for the win. She then says she is back and now she is here to fix this disaster and talks about all the women in the division and says that she is going to win this tournament. For my WTR scale, I gave this a grade. We then get Serena Deeb talking about saying she is done with Sheeta and she will end her next week in a Philly street fight. And I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be very interesting. For my WTR scale, I give this a good. We then get Andrade El Idolo versus Darby Allin in a coffin match. This match is looking like it will be an all-out war as these two look set to kill each other almost. The Blade tries to get involved very early, and the AFO turns this into a handicap match quickly. Darby tries to fight them off, but it doesn't work as the numbers are too much when Sting, dressed as a Sting fan, starts to even the odds. They brawl through the fans as Sting takes on Quen and the Blade, while Darby and Andrade brawl as they should be. They start to climb, and Sting tosses Mark off the steps, and then Darby low blows Andrade, which went unmentioned. And then Sting goes flying off the top of the staircase area. Then in the ring, Andrade sends Darby flying into a chair set up in the corner, and then looks to do even more damage as he puts the chair in front of Darby and tosses. But Darby tosses it back at him and hits the coffin drop on the outside. But he's caught and tossed around again. Andrade tries to put Darby into the coffin that has tacks on its lid, but Darby keeps fighting, and they brawl to the stage where Andrade decides he's going to toss Darby onto the steel grate. Andrade then drags Darby to the coffin, and he tears the lid off and tries to toss Darby, but he slips out and then hits a dive from the outside, landing in the coffin. And before Darby can close the lid, Jose stops him, and Darby fights him off, tossing him onto the tacks and then slamming the lid shut on Andrade's back for the win. The Hardys come out to give their respect to Darby as Dynamite goes off the air, as well as Sting celebrated with him. For my WTR scale, I gave this a great. That was a great way to do this. This feud seems, I think that's it. They did what they need to do here, and we can move on now, I think. For the overall of the show, I gave it a great. They did amazing tonight. My segment of the night, I give it to Sami and Sky. That was just a great way to build it, I think. For my match of the night, I give it to the coffin match. That was fantastic. And for the performers of the night, it goes to Darby and Andrade. But that is all for this episode of Walking the Ropes Wrestling Review. Thank you all for dropping in. If you enjoyed, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to get notifications whenever we upload a video. And I'll see you in the next one.